Welcome back to the Pro Stokes Podcasters on YouTube. I'm your co-host, NWB. Mr. Nii Wallace-Bruce is the full name. And I'm joined by Mr. Corbert de Ronde, a.k.a. Kobe.
How's it going?
It's going good. And we've got our snacks. If you want to sponsor the podcast with your food, we're ready. We're taking sponsors. Slide into our DMs on social media. We're on Instagram at pro.sports.podcasters. We're on Twitter at @PPodcasters. And our website is prosportspodcasters.com.
And I don't want to jinx it or anything, but we're actually in talks with a beer sponsor as we speak. And if that goes through, this could be the very last sober YouTube video you see from us.
There we go. So our next YouTube video could have some beer cans on the on the table. So watch this space. But in the meantime, we're going to watch the marketplace, aren't we, Kobe?
Yes, we are. And it's a little different this time. The last couple of videos had NFL all day, but today we're going to a different sport in a different part of the world where it's the most popular, somewhere close to your heart, actually. What are we talking about today?
Cricket.
Cricket on the Fancraze platform.
There we go. So if you go to fancraze.com, you'll find the marketplace for all things cricket NFTs, licensed by Icc, so all that good stuff. And let's drill right down to the rare. Let's get straight into it. I know there's common, there's also epic, but I want to look at the rare NFTs because there's some that really caught my eye. So one in particular is Shaheen Afridi. Now, Shaheen Afridi is a Pakistani fast bowler. He has come on the scene. He's young, he's up and coming, and I think he's the future. Wahab Riaz is getting towards the end of the line in terms of limited overs cricket, but Shaheen Afridi is going to take up the mantle. And at the moment is actually him taking the wicket of Glenn Maxwell at the 2019 World Cup. Now, we're recording this in 2022, so we're a year away from the next Cricket World Cup. We've got the 2020 World Cup later in 2022, but Shaheen Afridi is a name you're going to hear about a lot in the next 18 months.
So that being the case, obviously right now for a rare, $49 currently on the marketplace, he's bound to go up when the actual World Cup starts, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, even the T20 World Cup, Pakistan, they are the specialists when it comes to T20 and limited overs in general. The T20 World Cup is in Australia. I expect Pakistan to make the knockout rounds, and I expect them to be pushing for a final spot. So it's going to be on the back of the likes of Shaheen Afridi.
Now, something I got to add in here. I am not a big fan of cricket. I'm still learning the game from Nii. He's our cricket expert. But just watching this particular moment is exciting for me, even as someone who doesn't really watch the game, because I know enough about baseball and I know how difficult it can be to strike somebody out. It's even more difficult with cricket because your strike zone is significantly smaller.
Yeah.
And you got a bat that's significantly wider. And to see him do what he does to, I guess it's Maxwell.
Yeah, Glenn Maxwell.
It's an awesome moment. Honestly, the way the moment's been put together, it's money to watch, even as somebody who's not even a real fan of cricket. So if Nii says this is a guy to watch, trust me, it's a guy to watch. He knows everything and then some when it comes to cricket.
I will go on a limb. This may be controversial. I will say Shaheen Afridi is the best fast bowler in South Asia right now.
A Pakistani.
Yep. So if you're Indian or if you disagree, please.
If you're Indian or you disagree,
just jump into the comments and we can talk about that further. But anyway, we love our Indian followers, by the way. We love
100%. We got a huge following in India. Love you guys. That's why we're adding more cricket content just for you.
There we go. But the next moment I want to look at is actually from the 2015 World Cup. So it's Brendan McCollum against South Africa. So this was actually the World Cup semi-final code. And it was played in New Zealand. And South Africa from memory they opened the game. They began the game batting. They put up a pretty good total. And then New Zealand came in to chase, to try and overtake them and win the game. Because that's how it goes in the Cricket World Cup. Now, from memory, they'd lost some wickets, but McCollum is what they call a swashbuckling batsman. He's a swinger. He will have a go at most balls that come at him. So this moment in particular, he hit for 6 off the South Africans.
Now hold on, what's a hit for 6?
A hit for 6 is when the ball crosses the boundary on the full.
So it's like a home run.
Yeah, it's over the fence or over the rope, depending on the field configuration, and you get the maximum. The maximum in cricket is 6 runs off each ball. So my South African brothers and sisters will remind me that New Zealand play on smaller cricket grounds compared to other countries, but a 6 is a 6. And in the World Cup, that helped to push New Zealand over the line.
Now, you had mentioned that Mccollum is retiring, correct?
That was actually McCollum's second to last game in the Cricket World Cup. His last game was the final against Australia in 2015, and he was a captain at the time. But this was probably New Zealand's finest moment in the Cricket World Cup at the time, before we get to 2019. We'll get to 2019 later.
So would you consider this a Hall of Fame style player?
Yes, because McCollum is interesting. McCollum is obviously a great batsman, but he was also a wicketkeeper. And his generation changed the position of wicketkeepers. Wicketkeepers were historically guys who, when the team is fielding, they stand behind the stumps, they collect the ball, they take catches if there's the ball struck, but they're largely there to protect the wickets and protect balls from going past the wickets and going for sundry runs.
Yeah.
Brendon McCullum and Adam Gilchrist, who came just before him, they revolutionized the position because the wicketkeeper then became an extra batsman in a batting lineup. Because typically in a batting lineup, you would have 5 or 6 guys who you can rely on to get runs, and the wicketkeeper historically was a guy that
you stuck at the end of the line.
Yeah, you kind of just towards the bottom. A few runs is great, but you're just really there to wicket keep. Not when Gilchrist and McCollum are playing. They became an extra batsman, and nowadays, if you want to, the pendulum was shifted. So it's no longer about a guy who can keep wicket. If you want to keep wicket, you got to be able to bat. So you will see some teams that will have a batter who can play wicketkeeper. Like South Africa had A.B. de Villiers, the former captain. He is a guy that could keep as well as bat, as opposed to a designated wicketkeeper.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So he's revolutionary in terms of asking a question.
Nice.
There we go. Now, do you want to take a look at some of the common moments?
Yeah, you had highlighted a common.
Yeah, so let's talk about Mr. Jos Buttler. Now, the 2019 World Cup this is England's first World Cup win, actually. So,
A controversial win, correct?
Yes, and I'm going to come to that. And if you're watching this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But England, they won the World Cup, and Jos Buttler, he had a pretty good tournament. He was a wicketkeeper, and he put some runs on the board in key matches. He had this nice moment against Bangladesh. So, it's a common, but the fact that tournament was a winning tournament, I think it has some special value.
Now, for some of you who collect NFTs, maybe on different platforms, maybe you're part of the NFL All Day, maybe you're part of the NBA Top Shot, UFC Strike, something that's a little bit unique to Fancraze, because I know a lot of you aren't going to know cricket and maybe you're turned off by that. But if you're just looking at the collectability of some of these moments, what I really like about Fancraze and what they've done here is, although this is a common, and it's a common with a World Championship badge attached to it, there's only 1,750 minted. So on another platform, this would be a rare, right? So you got to look at it that way. This is going for $16, but if you were to pay $16 for a rare on another platform, you'd be thrilled. Although it's common, don't see it as such. Look at the mint counts, and some of these mint counts are extremely low, and they're still considered commons, and as a result of that, the prices aren't that high. There
we go. So you can get really good value for some of these special moments. But for me, this, as a fan, the 2019 World Cup final will always be one that will have a bit of an asterisk for me because it was exciting. Okay, England played New Zealand. This is New Zealand's watershed moment once again in limited overs cricket. They made the final. They wanted to atone for losing to Australia in 2015. They went to England. They took them all the way. Right, New Zealand put up a pretty good total in their innings, and then England came out to chase, and it was so close that they finished tied. So,
what are the odds of a tie in cricket?
Very rare. Okay, very, very rare.
You're talking about extremely high scores. right?
Yeah. So for them to be
this isn't soccer.
Yeah.
Right?
It's almost like a basketball game going to overtime. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But in this instance, it happened, and that's where things got ugly, in my opinion. They were playing in England, so they already had a day designated for rain because it rains a lot in England.
Yes, it does.
They could have maximized their profit revenue by just replaying it. See, the dog agrees that the World Cup final was controversial. All right. See, another one that agrees that New Zealand was robbed in 2019. They should have come back to play the next day. They could have easily done that. Or what they resorted to was a super over. So a cricket game has an over is 6 balls.
Okay.
At one end. So they said, okay, we're going to have a sudden death situation where each team will have 6 balls to score as many runs as they can. Fine. Believe it or not, Kobe, they ended up tied at the end of the super over.
So we're going to another overtime, basically.
No. What you said was reflex. We didn't script that, by the way. Kobe just said
I would assume
naturally.
Right?
They did not. England won the World Cup on a countback after the tie of the super over. So because England had scored more boundaries during their innings in that game, they were awarded the World Cup on a tie in the final. On a countback after a tie in the final. 2 reasons why that's not okay. 1, the super over it's 6 balls each. Just do another super over. That's one way to solve it. 2, in the super over that they had, Ben Stokes, the all-rounder for England, he's running, and you'll find his moments on the marketplace.
I'm going to look it up right now.
But he's running, and he dives to get into his crease, and the ball that is thrown to his end hits his bat and goes for a boundary. So England actually got an extra run out of that they shouldn't have under the rules. If you go and look up the rules of the game, England was awarded 1 more run than they should have got. That breaks a tie right there. So New Zealand actually should have won the game. And please, if you disagree or if you agree, we want to hear from you in the comments. But England should not have won the World Cup on the basis of the way the Super Over was conducted. And the fact that the rule at the end of the Super Over is unjust for a World Cup final. But this is what happened. England has won their first World Cup. New Zealand is still waiting. We'll see what happens in 2023. Who's your tip to win the World Cup in 2023? I want to hear from you in the comments below.
Now, for interest sake here, there's actually only one minted Ben Stokes moment. It's a rare to a count of 500. It's currently going for $95, which, again, if you understand how a mint count works, only 500 of them, that's a pretty good price. It's the only one you can get, and this was 2019 ICC Men's Australia versus England on the 25th of June.
I believe, I've got to double check, but I'm pretty sure that was a semi-final. I believe that was a semi-final. It was a knockout game against Australia. So that's a pretty solid moment. That's a moment we want to have, especially if you're English or if you're a lover of the game. England, Stokes was the best player in that tournament. Whether we like it or not, Stokes, he carried England to that point.
Okay, for interest sake, just for me here, I'm going to ask. So, who, in your opinion? I don't want to make it. No, let's go. Let's make it Australia because you're Australian. Who's the best player on Australia right now?
I'm gonna go with. I've always liked Steve Smith. He's a solid batsman. He's consistent. Let's have a look at Steve Smith.
Okay, Steve Smith. I want to see what moments are available.
Not to be confused with the Carolina wide receiver. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the only Steve Smith is actually. It's a rare to 750.
Oh. No,
this is 2015 ICC, New Zealand versus Australia, 29 of March.
Now this is a moment you want to have.
And this is a World Cup final.
That's right.
World champion.
So I was actually at this game. It was in Melbourne. It was on a Sunday night, and
it was on a Sunday night.
It was on a Sunday night, and it was great for Australia. I mean, they hadn't won the World Cup for 8 years, but this is special because it is on home soil, and it was just a beautiful day. Like, the afternoon started off with some early New Zealand wickets. McCollum was dismissed, I think, second ball or maybe first ball of the game. So it felt like it was going to be a good day for Australia. And then when they came out to bat, there wasn't too many runs to chase. So it did seem a little bit like a formality, but at the same time, you didn't want to jinx it. You didn't want to mush it.
Yeah.
So when Steve Smith came out to I guess, finish the game off with Shane Watson, that boundary was, one of the, I guess it's like the icing on the cake.
So hold on, a boundary is a 4.
A boundary is a 4.
Okay.
It's also a 6, but stock standard boundary is a 4. And Smith, from memory, was named player of the match in that game for his runs scored in the run chase. So that is a moment I would definitely want to have.
World champion, World Cup final. He was not player of the match.
It was not?
No, someone else was.
Maybe it was Mitchell Stark.
Now this is going at $227, which is more in tune with the price of your average rare on one of the other platforms. Mm-hmm. But obviously, this is what you're paying for the absolute best player from a popular team.
There we go.
It's not Bangladesh.
There
it's
we go.
Australia.
So there's a market. And Smith was the captain of the test team. He has the leadership, and he's still very much a part of the team today. So it's definitely someone.
So we'll see him at the next World Cup.
We'll see him at the T20 World Cup. We'll see him at the 2023 ICC World Cup as well.
If you could own one moment, this would be the one you'd own?
I would get this one. Absolutely.
Bingo. There you go. Keep in mind, Australia.
Biased a little bit, but no, seriously, if you were a cricket fan or a cricket collector, this is a moment you want to get around.
And your opinion, best team in the world right now?
In Test cricket, New Zealand are up there.
New Zealand?
Mm-hmm. New Zealand and Australia are close.
And who would New Zealand's best player be?
Kane Williamson.
What's the name?
Kane Williamson.
With a K or a C?
K. Kane.
Kane Williamson. Let's see what he goes for. Oh, they have an epic. Yeah. So this is only minted to 250. This is a 6 from the 19th of June, 2019. New Zealand versus South Africa.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and this is going for $4.99 currently.
And good reason, because, again, McCollum retired.
He was player of the match.
There we go. McCollum retired. Williamson took over that mantle as the hitman.
He was also player of the tournament.
All right, I thought it was Stokes. So that's a good point. The fact that Kane Williamson is named player of the tournament,
and they didn't win,
that tells me almost that New Zealand should have won. New Zealand should have won the 2019 World Cup.
Yeah.